Americans have enjoyed a holiday of abundance. Many of us have funneled turkey into our gobblers with mirth and glee. But what if you lived in a place where food was less abundant? That's where the spirit of thankfulness comes in. At the bottom of the sea, the pelican eel really does become a funnel to make the most of the marine snow that trickles down from above. But this year, we can all be thankful that we don't live in the deep ocean for our entire life, death, and taxonomy. Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter at LD Taxonomy or visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, to Tristan Taylor, Jesse Raspolich, Kale Raspolich, and Richard Kaspar. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on.
And today we're talking about a big-mouthed, deep-living, inflatable tube man. But more on that later.
That's a good nickname. I should have thought of that.
But yeah, speaking of that, what are we talking about and what are you calling it?
We're talking about the Pelican eel. And so make of that what you will. End of episode. It's also known as the gulper eel, the pelican gulper, or the umbrella mouth gulper, which is 100% some sort of Resident Evil boss.
Okay. And
mostly because the evil corporation in Resident Evil is called Umbrella, but also like a mouth gulper, like this giant mouthed creature made from a bioweapon that attacks you. Perfect.
Technically, we're all mouthed creatures.
But a giant mouthed creature.
A giant mouthed creature. He's a giant mouthed creature.
So it's like anything that's big that has a mouth, or
yeah,
something normal that has a big mouth.
Yeah.
That's semantic ambiguity. Using my linguistics degree to bore everyone to tears. We're gonna call it here the demon tadpole of the deep. And Pelican bite off more than he can chew.
That's fair. That's fair. It's pretty good.
Stretching the
mouth.
The definition of a nickname. That's not something he would have in high school. It's just too long.
What about the gulping guppy?
Guppy? It's not really a guppy, is it? Demon tadpole of the deep. That's something that he would like put on a standard as he rode into battle.
Well, that's gonna. It's funny you said demon because there's something later for that.
Cool. Let's taxonomize this in that case. It's in the kingdom. You know it. You love it. You're in it. It's the kingdom Animalia. Of course, it always is. The phylum is Chordata. It's not always that Chordata, but it often is. The class is Actinopterygii. It's an eel. It's a fish, technically. And this is bony fish. The order is Anguilliformes. The family is Euryphangidae.
Am I?
You're a Pharan. You're a Pharangidae.
I'm a fan today of this fish.
You're
eel.
You are a Pharangidae. That sounds like some sort of like
Shakespearean pickup line.
Pig Latin pickup line. The genus is Europharynx, that sounds like a Pig Latin put down.
Swear, yeah, yeah.
you like that's one of the first things you learn as a kid is a Pig Latin put down.
Pig Latin put down is my band name in high school.
That's your band name in high school.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're Pig Latin put down.
That's what you would say.
Coming up is sleeping on the roof. The species is Pelicanoides. So Eurypharynx, Pelicanoides. since we're in the business of naming things, I figured it's time for my favorite part of the show, critter groups, the part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question, and that question is the same every time. What is the name of a group of this animal, or what is the term of venery, or what is the collective noun? I looked up all of the eels that we have done, and we have not done this one yet.
Really? For the sargassum? We didn't?
Yeah, we did the European eel, we've done the ribbon eel, we've done the electric eel. We've done one more, but we haven't...
We've done several eels not very long ago.
Yeah, it is not... but we haven't done this... this term of venery. So, if you saw a group of eels, would you say, A, it is a grate of eels, B, it's a fry of eels, C, it's a slip of eels, or D, it's a nuzzle of eels?
Slip is good. I like slip. My gut is telling me fry, but I think that's another animal. Fry, final answer.
Ding, ding, ding. You're correct again. Yeah. Double feature.
You always go with your gut. I really, really, really wanted to say slip because it's a good term of venery for an eel. But you know what? You go with your gut, and it's never... You go with your gut, and you're never wrong. You take that to that's a folk wisdom that
that is patently false.
Only if you don't believe, dude.
That is
only
demonstrably
if you don't
false.
Believe. If your gut is right, it will be right all the time. And that's why
true. That's why you need to eat yogurt and maintain good gut flora and fauna.
Exactly. Yes.
A fry is like a young
fish.
Salmon.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So
maybe that's what I was thinking
of. But yes, a fry is a group of eels as well. Let's talk about what this guy looks like. This is the basically the epitome of a deep sea monster, just not gigantic. And whenever I see like these deep sea fish that look just bonkers, you imagine them being these huge sea monsters, but that's really they're just
thalassophobia.
They're the size of regular fish. Part of my thalassophobia is the idea of like a mile-long version of this thing just lurking at the bottom of the ocean, looking up at me and deciding whether or not I'm a morsel worth like moving for,
or even just swallowing you as detritus. Like you're so small to it that whether it gets you or not is very little to him.
Like you're just swimming and then suddenly like the gray blue mist of the ocean, just like you start to see a little bit of definition, and then you realize that like your entire horizon is moving towards you. Right. That's like it's the mouth of something.
That's like a little bit of the existential dread of like a like the Cthulhu. What's that guy's name? The Cthulhu monster guy.
Oh, Lovecraft.
The Lovecraftian horror. That's like something so big it doesn't even care, and it can destroy you utterly.
Well, and that's the whole idea of Lovecraft's pantheon of his whole like the cosmology. That's what it is.
The old ones, yeah.
Yeah, his idea, like the Lovecraftian idea, is these ancient gods that sleep for thousands of years under the ocean, and the only reason why they haven't killed us yet is because they don't care. It doesn't matter. They don't care.
Right.
And if you look up pictures of, if you just type in Cthulhu and look through all the pictures, like there's some where it's just like you have this tiny ship just floating on the surface, and it's like a whole galleon. It's like a big ship, and then just below the waves is this massive octopus demon. And man, that is an unnerving picture to me. I know it's not real. But and it's funny that
there's something about my suspension of disbelief that just will not allow giant things into it.
But the thing is, there are really big things. There's 100-foot long blue whales that would suck to be
in the water.
Swallowed by.
It's a different situation.
And it's also interesting that there is such thing as deep sea gigantism, but nothing that rivals a blue whale. You would think that that some things could get just monstrously huge down there.
But you need you need nourishment. You need Tauros meat.
Yeah, when you when you realize that things need to eat food, big things need to eat a lot of food, then it's okay, well, never mind then. I guess.
Yeah,
there isn't a lot of food down there,
unless you're in that deep scattering layer, and you're able to get that stuff. This
podcast has shown us that life finds a way. So
that's true.
I can totally picture an alternate universe where we're talking about a 700-foot long anglerfish that lives at the bottom of the ocean, and we're how does this thing exist down there? What does it eat? And it's oh, this thing only needs to eat once every 600 years, and then you're just and we talk about its metabolism or something like that, and it's yeah, it could live in space, it could live in the Earth's core. It's just it really is an ancient Lovecraftian god that's just waiting to devour all of civilization. So
yeah, the closest thing we got is the Greenland shark.
Yeah,
and it's not big, it's just old. Well, it's
but
big.
We've said a lot of words, and I haven't actually described this thing yet.
Okay, say some words that describe it.
And if you've ever read Lovecraft, that's exactly what he does. He says a lot of words and never actually describes it. He spends a lot of time talking about how undescribable something is. But the whole point is it's the knowledge of the more knowledge you gain about the old ones, you just go insane just even trying to comprehend it. But still, it's infuriating to read something and be tell me what this thing looks like so I can imagine it. He doesn't really do that very often. Anyway, this would have been the pelican eel would have been a particularly perfect addition to the "There's always a bigger fish" scene from Star Wars Episode 1.
Yes.
Its tail is long and thin and snake-like, and like most eels, it's got this serpentine tail that's a flat ribbon on its edge, so vertically. And this tail is lined with these little tentacles that look like hairs. And it has a bioluminescent section at the end of its tail that gives off red and pink flashes of light that are theorized to be used for communication and luring prey. Even though this light is at the end of its tail and not exactly well positioned to eat anything that's near its tail. It would have to kind of contort itself in a way that doesn't make much sense. You would think that its lights would be near its face if it wanted to, like an anglerfish. Mm-hmm. Its body is reminiscent of the black anglerfish in so much as that it's basically just one large head with an even bigger evil smile. And it has two teeny tiny eyes, which is unusual for something that lives at the bottom of the ocean with low light areas. Usually they have big eyes in order to take in as much light as possible. That's not the case with the pelican eel. They actually have really good olfactory senses. They can smell things really well. And they have two ridiculous looking little pectoral fins sticking out the side, like an anglerfish, that are used for steering. So just imagine a mouth, giant unhinged mouth with two little eyes and a really long whip tail. And you've got the pelican eel. So it is not a 600-foot long Lovecraftian monster. It's not that big. So how big is it?
Well, welcome to the Beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show. The part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that's introduced by you when you send an audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering the words measure up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We don't have a new Measure Up intro this week. Can you believe it? So
I can't.
Instead, we're going to hear from an animal, and Carlos is going to guess what it is. So, without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show. What
sounds like
that?
the plumbing at the house I just bought.
It was the plumbing.
Do I have to fill in the blank on this one too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Give me
I thought you were supposed to meet me halfway.
Guess.
I don't know. Can I narrow it down for me?
Lives in the ocean.
Okay. Some sort of cetacean.
Mm-hmm.
Call it a I don't know, like a dugong. There we go. Dugong. It's a dugong.
Dugong?
Final answer.
Like a manatee, a thin manatee? A keto manatee?
slim the real slim manatee.
Yeah. Final answer?
Barbara manatee. Yeah.
That's incorrect. It's a blue whale. It's very cool.
Oh, wow. I even mentioned blue whale.
It sounds like a ship's horn, like in the distance.
Foghorn.
Very cool. Let's talk about length. So, they're 0.7 meters or 2.5 feet. How many pelican eels go into the distance Louis Mater? It really says Mater, but it's not. Well, it's not. Oh, it's AR.
Matar.
The distance Louis Matar drove in 1952 without stopping. Here's a hint. Louis Matar.
I think my sister-in-law has a Louis Matar purse.
Louis Matar modified his 1947 Cadillac for 5 years before he and two other men drove the car across the country and back without stopping.
I used to need the other people to pass around the pea cups.
It's not just that. So
how did they fuel?
Yeah. And this is the 50s. So you got to change the oil. You got to change the radiator fluid constantly. So the caddy automatically refills the radiator to change the oil. It has a drilled axle so the wheels can be inflated while they're turning. Hydraulic jacks could raise the car to allow the wheels to be changed while moving.
What? How is this thing?
Also,
do they slow to 1 mile an hour and figure this out?
Maybe. For more
and then they get out of the car and
repairs,
Okay, I'm a little less impressed. Whatever.
For more complicated repairs and adjustments, the hood featured clear panels which allow the driver to keep going while the two other passengers fiddle around under the bonnet, standing on movable platforms attached to the side of the car. So they didn't get out.
The challenge is over if you step on the ground. I gotta see this.
I think you can see it in person at a museum.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna look at a picture on the internet. Is what I'm gonna do. What am I comparing this to? The length of the trip?
Yeah.
Okay, you said from one end of the country to the other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. What was it 6,000 miles? I think from sea to shining sea, if I remember right. So we'll call it 12,000 miles times 5,280 feet divided by 2.5. 25.3 million eels, pelican eels. Was the length of that glorious and not at all uncomfortable trip.
That's incorrect.
What a surprise.
The correct answer is, well, your estimation was off. So like, it's 13,347,840 eels. So without stopping, they drove from San Diego to New York and back for a total of 6,320 miles.
So that's a little, what?
Yeah. So San Diego to New York is 2,761 miles.
Why did I think it was 6,000 miles?
I don't know. San Francisco to like Maine would be longer.
No, San Francisco's north. San Diego's like way down there.
Yeah, it's norther, but it's also wester.
Interesting. I thought that they drove from like San Francisco to Charleston or whatever is on the same latitude.
No. So 6,320 miles. Quite a long trip for a car.
It is. Yeah, I would not have wanted to be one of the stanky bros that were inside that car for like 4 days.
Why would it be stanky? No, like why would it be 4 days? They didn't stop.
Oh wait, okay, so you said it's about 6,000 miles. If they went 60 miles an hour the whole time without stopping, it would take them 4 days to make that trip.
It's 41 hours.
What?
41 hours.
Wait, how long is
via
this
I-40?
trip?
41 hours. Well, I'm looking at a modern map. It says 41 hours.
Oh, but like in the 60s or the 50s or whatever,
you're not driving
go
like
80 miles an hour.
90, yeah. Fair enough. So let's talk depth. How deep do they live? They're 1,136 to 1,154 meters, or 3,727 or to 3,786 feet. It's a narrow margin.
Really? I've read that it was up to 9,800
feet deep.
Feet, yeah. It says in the North Atlantic it seems to have a range in the depth from 500 to 3,000 meters.
Maybe that's the above average or below average, however you want to look at it.
It says one Canadian Arctic specimen was found in the Davis Strait at a depth of, I think what you were just mentioning, 3,700 to 3,727 to 3,786.
That seems like the average anyway. So let's go with 3,700 feet or 3,786. So how many pelican eel living depths go into the living depth of the deepest living multicellular organism?
I guess that's an answer of how deep the ocean is. We talked about how deep the Mariana Trench was when we talked about the marinara snail worm or whatever that was.
You think it's how deep the ocean is, huh?
Maybe.
Well, here's a hint. Halocephalus mephisto, or the devil worm, is the deepest living multicellular animal. Unlike the pelican eel that can be found thousands of feet beneath the waves, the devil worm lives thousands of feet beneath the surface of the earth.
I feel like we just need to cover this animal.
It was found in ore deposits and discovered by geologists in 2011.
I feel like we should just cover this animal.
We should. And
but now the major fact is gone.
No, because we don't know how it does this. And I looked up some stuff, and it's got some pretty interesting stuff.
So does it lives beneath the surface of the earth, but that depends on if it's the surface of land or the surface of the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
Yeah, probably surface of land, because I think the Mariana Trench goes pretty dang deep.
And I can't for the life of me remember, and I guess it'd probably be
14,000 feet. Yeah, no. So this has to be like the deepest thing beneath the surface of the Earth.
So 3. My answer is 3.
3 living depths.
Yes.
Final answer.
Yes.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
The devil worm lives 2.2 miles or 3.5 kilometers beneath the Earth's surface.
I'm doing my victory wave.
So that's a nursing school victory. That's a 100.
For sure. It's an engineering school victory.
You have any fast facts before we get into the biggest of facts?
I sure do. So, as you've probably guessed, this guy lives in the ocean. At the bottom of it.
I'm covering a different animal, I think. Mine lives in the desert.
Yours lives in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
They live mostly near the equator. The bottom of the ocean there. But they do live all across the world. One was found near Greenland, as far north as Greenland, and they've also been caught off the coast of Portugal. They're difficult to observe, just like many things that live at the bottom of the ocean are difficult to observe, because if you bring them to the surface, the depressurization kills them and deforms them. Just like the blobfish that we covered not too long ago. Is a relatively normal looking fish, but then when you bring it up to the surface, it just kind of explodes outward into this blobby mess, because it's meant to be not enduring the crushing pressure of the black depths of Davy Jones' locker. So they actually have a pretty good sense of smell, like I mentioned earlier, and thanks to some well-developed olfactory organs, they can sense things that are pretty far away. As juveniles, they are transparent and they have no red blood cells. And they have they have a set of longer teeth, and they actually lose these teeth, and they are replaced with tiny teeth as adults. My tiny teeth and me.
So they do the opposite of us, where we lose our small teeth and get big teeth.
Yes, they lose their big teeth and get small teeth. So when you look at this guy, they have it looks like it doesn't have any teeth, but they're just small. And I'm going to leave it there. Again, there's not a whole lot of information about this guy, and a lot of it is speculative. So,
because they live deep.
Because they live deep, and the only person who's allowed to see it is James Cameron. So, go for it.
Okay. I'm calling this major fact the sea shovel. Sally sells she shovels. The she shovel was a Marvel show on Disney+.
She shovel attorney at law.
With the incredible shovel.
What would an incredible shovel look like?
It's just a really shiny, good one.
But I can't believe
Pelican.
I cannot believe the shovel.
It's not credible.
It's a shovel that lies to you. It's an incredible shovel.
It's a shovel that's convex instead of concave.
Yeah. Which just means it's concave on the other side.
Yeah.
It's just it's just a shovel that was put on backwards.
Yeah, but nobody knows that it was because they just think it's a shovel.
Yeah.
Pelican eels have weird body capability that helps them to survive in an environment where there's not a lot of food to eat. Turns out deep down in the ocean where not a lot of things can live, there's not a lot of things that are living that you can eat. So they have a massive jaw compared to their body. I said it had a big mouth, and it certainly does. Their lower mandibles and jaw are much larger than their body length. They're mostly mouth. Even with their tail, their jaw makes up a quarter of their total body.
Dang.
That's quite a big jaw. Yeah. So their jaw hinge hangs with no body around it. Like Judas.
Nobody knows. Like Judas. Too soon, buddy. Too soon.
Too soon. Like it juts out like a cartoon character. And they open their mouths wide enough to swallow things that are much larger than they are. The flesh around their mouth is stretchy, kind of like a pelican, but more so than a pelican, allowing them to gulp water and inflate like a balloon. There's a video of some researchers in a diving machine, also called a submarine, where they're seeing something in the camera and they zoom in on it, and it's just this big round thing with a small grumpy face because it's inflated, and it's quite funny. And they're laughing in it. They're like, "What the heck?" Somebody says it looks like a Muppet, and like it's also like that goes to show you that's what the deep sea is. The researchers studying the deep sea catch something on camera, zoom in, and they're like, "What is that?" And then somebody's like, "I think it's a gulping eel," and they're like, "Oh yeah, it is."
And then they write that down on a piece of paper, and so it becomes law.
Yeah. Likewise, they have stretchy stomachs that can expand to fit the size of their large meals, but they mostly eat small things like crustaceans. Since food is scarce down there in the deep, their large stretchy mouth and large stretchy stomach allow them to eat a wide variety of food sources. So there's no excuse for things that are too big to eat. There is nothing too big to eat. I'll eat it because it's here. And then when they open wide, they can use their mouths like a net to swallow up large groups of shrimp, crabs, European tourists, and other fun stuff. I was thinking about Fort Lauderdale Beach. A lot of European tourists there. They can also gulp small invertebrates by gulping in large amounts of water that is then eliminated through their gills. So the kind of like not like a baleen whale, but like same principle, where they'll take in a ton of water and then just get rid of the water, sift the fish like wheat, spray out the water. But whales don't have gills. When they're young, they feed on marine snow, which we talked about in our, I think it was in our lanternfish episode. Tiny bits of feces and dead cells that descend from the ocean.
Detritus.
Life. Yeah, detritus. So all the ocean life above, closer to the surface, is just pooping and dying on you.
It's delicious.
Oh, it's snowing. What is it?
You just open your mouth and snowflakes land on your tongue. It's really magical.
It's disgusting, but it's exactly what they do. So they seem to use their mouths like a pufferfish too, ticking in water to expand their body size to intimidate aggressors. So imagine like somebody comes to rob you and you just like fill your mouth with air and get the heck out of here.
Yeah, I think Kip Croker does that in an episode of Futurama.
So yeah, they change teeth too because they eat different things. Larvae probably eat things that require them to bite larger things they can tear chunks off of, but these guys eat smaller things that they just kind of gulp into their mouths and swallow.
Well, I've got something else. At first, researchers thought they just sat suspended in the water with their mouths open and their lights on, and waited for food to just kind of wander into their mouths. But apparently recent studies shown that they might be more active. They might lunge at their prey or even actively hunt.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know because the ones they pull up are dead, and the ones that they see out there are goofy Muppets. So. And okay, so now that's all I got.
That's all I got.
All right, that was the Pelican eel. Nice, succinct episode. So for you out there in podcasting, shine your light, stay in your depth, and open your abyssal maw to rend the cosmically unknowable fabric of Lovecraftian nightmares, like the Pelican eel. You're in life, death, and taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
Well said on the fly. What do you call a superpower that allows you to move seabirds with your mind? Pelicanesis.
What?
Pelicanesis.
Oh, I thought it was telegulnesis. That doesn't really work. Pelicanesis.